Coming up on Look Today, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik speaks on the importance of battling the opioid epidemic in our communities. We've got details. And we've got an update on the recent vandalism in Congress Park. More on that coming up. And a serious fire leaves an apartment building in Glens Falls really damaged. I've got those details. It's all ahead on Look Today. Welcome everyone, I'm Jay Hood Jackson, and this is Look Today. Tonight's program, I sit down with Marty Vonix. He's the president of the Saratoga County Prosperity Partnership. He's here to talk about economic development in our region and an upcoming networking event that's happening tomorrow night at the Saratoga National Golf Club. Plus, I also sit down with William Lockery. Now, he's an author and historian. He's here to talk about a towering political figure of the 20th century, Charles Evan Hughes. And guess what? He's from Glens Falls. Plus, we've got your weather for the Tri-North counties, but first, these headline stories. In our lead story, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik continues to work on the opioid epidemic that is currently ongoing in our communities. As part of her results tour, Elise toured the 21st Congressional District, highlighting key concerns of her campaign. Now, whether it's small businesses, schools, military vets, or the heroin and opioid crisis, Congresswoman Stefanik is a big proponent for working in the community at a grassroots level, which is what we saw this past August. Now, Congresswoman Stefanik spoke on the House floor.
These drugs reach out and impact even the strongest members of our communities. Addiction is a disease that does not discriminate.
That footage, by the way, is courtesy of C-SPAN. Preventative measures in our communities have recently increased to combat this particular crisis. Narcan can reverse an overdose for a short period of time. Well, we spoke to Mayor Robert Blaze from Lake George about this.
The addiction to heroin and its use in our area has increased over the years, and it's gratifying to know that the police officers are able to carry Narcan and that just recently it was used. And I think that people just have to be aware of the fact of the devastating results of using it, selling it, especially in Warren County, where now there's added emphasis on curtailing it.
And a local effort against this crisis, which is led by people like Congresswoman Stefanik, Bob Blaze, and our police department, really continues on a day-to-day basis. And we're going to keep you updated as we talk to all these different people from the community. Switching from news to weather, today brought a warm weather day with temperatures in the 80s. Let's see how the rest of the week is shaping up. For a more detailed look at our weather, we're going to head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast. Back to the news. Well, we've got an update on the recent vandalism of the Pan statue in Congress Park in Saratoga. 2 of the 4 suspects were arrested yesterday morning. The 2 suspects seen on the surveillance camera have been identified as Spencer Cole and Sean Burke. They vandalized the Pan statue located in the Italian Garden section of Congress Park in downtown Saratoga. The statue had to be removed. Well, we spoke to Lieutenant Gilson of the Saratoga Springs City Police about finding the suspects.
Well, back Tuesday morning, I think it was the 7th, don't quote me on the exact date, but we got a report from the DPW worker about a statue in the Italian Garden section of Congress Park had been knocked over and broken into a few pieces. So we initiated our investigation. The patrol division ran with it in the beginning, then we picked it up after there. We used the media to our advantage, so we started getting some surveillance pictures as well as some surveillance video out there for people to see. Lo and behold, on Friday morning, we get a call from the U.S. Navy saying that they knew who the 4 people were looking for.
Now, the 2 suspects, by the way, are sailors from the Navy's nuclear training facility in Milton. They were charged with second-degree criminal mischief and were released and sent back to the custody of the Navy. Well, we also spoke to the lieutenant about the importance of maintaining city treasures such as Congress Park.
Yeah, I say from day one is like, you know, Saratoga Springs has a lot to offer. We have a lot of history here. We have more than just the horse racing. We have a lot of conventions. We put a lot of people in here into our hotels. We want everyone to come and have the opportunity to enjoy what we have to offer. But show us some respect. You know, leave it as you found it. Don't make a mess of it. We take it as kind of an insult here, and we take pride in what we have here. So treat it accordingly, enjoy yourself, and leave it in one piece.
Great advice. In other news, well, an apartment building on East Notre Dame Street in Glens Falls is suffering major damages from a serious fire earlier today. Several surrounding streets were closed. The fire was reported at around 11 a.m. and completely destroyed the roof and the third floor. Thankfully, no reported injuries. However, most of the building is not salvageable. Up next, I sit down with Marty Vonix. He's the president of the Saratoga County Prosperity Partnership. He's here to talk about economic development in the region and a networking event that's happening tomorrow night at the Saratoga National Golf Club. Plus, I also sit down with William Lockery. He's an author and historian, and he's here to talk about the towering political figure of the 20th century, right from our own region, Charles Evan Hughes. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story, how about an interview? Give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Look Today. A couple of lookouts tonight. First, that fire in Glens Falls is pretty serious, and I think a lot of people are going to be without their apartments, so our thoughts go out to them. Secondly, in downtown Saratoga, quite a different story. The Pink Palace is being torn down. Anybody who lives in Saratoga knows the Pink Palace. I don't know what brain surgeon built this thing in the 60s or whenever, but it's been an eyesore in downtown Saratoga for decades. And Sonny Bonaccio and his team are taking the Pink Palace down. And last but not least, believe it or not, 48 years ago tonight, I asked this beautiful young woman to dance. She turned out to be my wife, Antoinette. Yes, she is a saint. Tonight on Look TV, it's Queensbury Town Board meeting. It's a new one. And don't forget, tune in tomorrow night for the stories that matter to you. Good night, everyone.